after the whole Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 debacle, I suppose it is time to kind of address the pattern because I've been seeing this happen occasionally over the past couple of years where a game is propped up as some huge anti-woke thing and then is revealed to be incredibly woke upon the actual release. Games like Hogwarts Legacy and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 were pretty self-explanatory examples of this. People made excuses for them. They bent over backwards. They tried to say that, like, well, this is an anti-woke game because of this. No, like, it has woke elements to it, so it's woke. I don't understand what's so hard to understand about this. People aren't willing to address that the entire Western video game sphere is inherently compromised. And as such, everything is woke. Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, like everything, right? There is just simply this very stubborn refusal to admit that it's true, even at this stage. And it's really interesting to see that, like, Japanese games start going down the same path. Monster Hunter Wilds, games like Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. No, it's not actually woke, bro. It is, right? They've been actively trying to subvert Japanese games for a very long time, but what we're seeing now is this really interesting situation where Stellar Blade is being hyped up as some major, major anti-woke like success story when this is a game that's already had its woke controversy, right? They censored the costumes after insisting that they wouldn't do it. And for the Gooners, this was some huge like travesty and some huge thing. They went out and bought the game anyway because they're simps, but like the narrative going into this was that Stellar Blade was some huge like deal because like, oh, it has an attractive female character. Never mind that like plenty of Nintendo games have far more attractive female characters. Like let's put up Eve on a pedestal just because there's nothing else to talk about, right? The narrative right now is that like Shift Up is some major major up and coming studio that put out a giga hit with Stellar Blade when it really isn't true at all. And I do think that really needs to be addressed at this stage is that this is the same setup, the same behavior, the same pattern we saw with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, in which the first game comes out, has a reasonably dedicated like cult following, and is weirdly put on this pedestal, put up as this example of just this anti-woke thing, this thing that's based traditional game design, made by people who are passionate about the medium, this huge, huge deal, right? Like, this is the best game released this year, right? A lot of people said that about the original Kingdom Come Deliverance. And what happens? Leading up to the release of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, in which people ignored all the major red flags, game journals giving it positive coverage, leaked images, like statements about the plot, all this stuff was completely neatly brushed under the rug in order to pretend as if no, Vavra's our guy. It doesn't matter that Embracer owns Warhorse now. He's not gonna allow them to do anything to it. Like historical accuracy, man. And what happens? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, in a lot of ways, is one of the most paused games of the year, right? I would argue is like the most woke game I've seen so far in 2025. And it's really not even close. And we're still in this position where a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers are bending over backwards trying to defend it, right? Doing everything they possibly can to make it out to be as if like these decisions were made organically, that they weren't forced, that they're not woke in nature. That's what's happening with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 right now. And it's safe to say that it is going to happen with Stellar Blade. There's going to be some major shift. There's going to be some major push to try and like make the game be taken seriously by gaming journals and mainstream outlets, right? You are going to see like woke aspects introduced into the game. I imagine it's going to be like, sapphic in nature, right? I'm sure there's going to be like something like that to kind of just ruin the experience for everyone. Either there's just going to be like, I don't know, some weird political thing, or like, who knows, right? It's a little bit different when it comes to like Asian releases, Korean, the developer is Korean, but like my point is that we really need to stop allowing people to hype up games based on these like false pretenses. This idea that like it's historically accurate, so it can't be woke, or that, well, it has an attractive female, so it's not woke. Like, that's not how this works, right? Like, it's like you don't understand how the bait and switch works, right? They have to give you the bait, and then they give you the switch instead. Like, that's the entire point. They're tricking you into supporting products that have no business being supported in any way, shape, or form. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 should never have gotten as far as it did. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 should never have gotten so many people like rabidly defending it, and it should not have as many simps as it does right now. Okay, and that's just one example. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the defining example of this, of people bending over backwards, trying to deny that it's woke, when in reality, it's this incredibly pause thing that really showcases everything wrong with the Western development sphere. But we can't allow that to be discussed or talked about, because that would make the PC gaming industry look bad. And considering the vast majority of the anti-wokesters are all PC gamers, right? They have to push this narrative that PC gaming is somehow completely free of woke culture, which is obviously retarded if you've been paying attention to what like Valve and these other companies have been doing at all. But they can't bring themselves to like hold their preferred platform accountable, right? They can't afford themselves to admit the fact that Valve is not infallible, right? They can't do it. They can't acknowledge any mistakes the company makes. They can't acknowledge like the people they hire, their political leanings. They can't acknowledge the general trend. They always like try to blame something else. Like, oh no, it's only this one rogue moderator who's blocking anti-woke games on Steam. Like, things like that, right? They're not willing to admit that that one person is a Valve employee, right? So these huge major things that would be considered huge woke controversies if they were on PlayStation and Xbox are conveniently ignored when they're on Steam. And this is a big thing when it comes to Stellar Blade right now, because a lot of people are coping saying that like, oh well, we'll be able to mod the sexy costumes back in when Stellar Blade releases on PC, but like they're going to they're going to make the IP worse in other ways, ways that aren't going to be modded out. It really does need to be talked about more about how much like the anti-woke industry copes and seeds about these kind of woke products. Whenever like they inevitably get bait and switched, they always do damage control, they always bend over backwards, they always make excuses, defending people like Vavra, defending people like Shift Up, defending like Sony even. Like, they cannot bring themselves to admit that the industry is completely 100% compromised, and there simply is no saving it.